Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Monday evening, the word of the day is exasperation. That's the one word that describes what all Bangladeshis would be feeling. And I suppose Dinesh Karthik, the lone Indian, who will have the same emotion for different reasons, of course. Parthiv Patel and DK on Cricbuzz Live, 2:36. It was one of those strange innings that saw Bangladesh huff and puff their way to 2:36 for 9. Hussain Shanto, the captain, 77, he will rue the fact that he couldn't go on. Jakar Ali's 45, really lending a little bit of respectability to a total that could have well been 180, 190, thereabouts. Rishad Hussain with a sprightly looking 26 as well. Bracewell, career best figures of 4 for 26. A couple of wickets for William O'Rourke, and Kyle Jamieson got 1 wicket as well. How does one justify an innings which saw the batting team play 181 dot balls?
It is very difficult, isn't it? At 181 dot balls means we are talking about 30 overs of dot balls. So basically, we are Bangladesh was right. This is a T20 era, so they thought we'll score only of 120 balls. We won't score of other balls. But having said that, it is very difficult to justify, especially the kind of shots which Bangladesh senior batters have played. I mean, Mahmudullah went for a big one. Mushfiqur played his just 5th ball and he was trying to clear that mid-wicket boundary. Tawhid Hridoy was in a great form. Once again, he played a big shot. Mehdi Hasan Miraj has also been around for a while. He was also going for a big shot. So I don't think it is more than the batting. It is bowling. I think it's just the mindless batting of the shot selection. Definitely, you'll have to question of the way Bangladeshi batters have batted.
DK, the Bangladeshi batters seemed like bored corporate employees at work on a Monday, just not willing to be there. The will was missing, and I'm not too sure about the skill either.
More than the will, I think they would have ideally wanted it, but I don't think they have the skill set to do it. That's what I felt looking at them play, because to take singles, to rotate strike is an art. You need to know how to pick gaps. This pitch is not the easiest to rotate strike purely because it's slightly slow. But in general, it was more like block, block, block than look for a big shot. That is not a great template to follow if you want to be consistent. The good players over the years, you see anyone, Sachin, Virat Kohli, Babar Azam, Hashim Amla, they know how to rotate strike. When you rotate strike, you're able to go to the non-strikers end, and also you slowly but steadily keep your scoreboard ticking. And the one general term that we use normally when good batters play is, I don't even know how he reached 30. You're just batting, he went off to 40. He just doesn't feel like he scored runs, but he's in 40. Yeah. That is a skill where only if you rotate strike, you will get there, which obviously the Bangladesh batters don't possess as of today on a pitch which is slightly tricky.
The lay cricket viewer would still ask, why is it so difficult to take a single?
I mean, it is very difficult to describe why it is so difficult, especially for a batter like Mahmudullah or Mushfiqur. They've been around for years. They have that skill. They know how to take those singles, but it's somehow the intent they didn't show. They didn't show that enough fight that we will hang around there. And you can understand if there is a left-arm spinner bowling ball going away from you, then for a right-hander it becomes slightly difficult. But there's an off-spinner bowling, so there's always a chance of playing with the spin and taking those singles. But it was just not, I mean, DK rightly put it was just either a block or a big shot, and that doesn't work in international cricket. There are enough quality bowlers to not let you hit those sixes every time you attempt that.
It would be a misnomer to call this graphic the innings progression, because I didn't see much progress, especially in the first half of the innings, because take a look at that. Not a bad start in the first 10, 58, and one would say, okay, great foundation laid, but then it just went pear-shaped, DK.
Yeah, it's very obvious in the first 10 and the last 10 they got going, because the field was up in the first 10. In the last 10, you have the license to go after it.
Yep.
But the middle phase, which pretty much decides how tall the score could be, is the phase where they've completely lost out. Almost under 4 in all phases tells you they haven't been able to rotate, pretty much what we discussed. Yeah. And also with rotation of strike, the one thing you end up doing is get into positions very well to execute that, which in turn will give you the boundary option as well. Yeah. Now, when you're only looking for the big shot, then that becomes an issue. One of the key skills to be able to rotate is use the depth of the crease. Either go fully back or step out and get close to the ball. That's when you will be able to pierce those gaps in front or play square of the wicket of the back foot. And that is a skill that is slowly but steadily dying, because when you play a lot of T20 cricket, it's gone to a stage where people are saying it's okay, dot ball chalega, but try and hit sixes. So people don't focus on the skill to take singles anymore. And that is why you see people struggling in ODI cricket in the middle phase, and on turning pitches, it is the defense that comes into question. So both of this gets affected a lot because of the lack of practice in trying to master the art of playing spin.
Should have watched the highlights of what Shreyas Iyer and Virat Kohli did last night. Shreyas Iyer using his feet and
Virat
as
Kohli
well.
is a great example.
Yeah.
You know, he got 100.
Yeah.
He had 7 fours. 72 runs came in singles or two. So it tells you a lot about how much he's rotated strike through the middle phase.
Also, you need partners who can run like DK ran in Melbourne at the T20 World Cup.
I don't know if that helps. I got almost run out, but yeah.
Let's show you the batting card, and it'll tell you that Michael Bracewell, who himself may not have fancied getting 4 wickets the way he did. Now, take a look at Tanzid Hassan, Tawhid Ridoy, Mushfiqur Rahim and Mahmudullah, all of them losing their wickets to Bracewell, who, with due respect, is not Mutaya Muralidharan. Was it these batters assuming that they can take Bracewell on and that plan backfiring?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something which they thought. Tanzid Hassan, we spoke about him in a pre-show that he gets that start, and it's not a problem for him. Today also, against India, he was 25 of 25. Today, again, 24 of 24, trying to play that big shot. So when ball's not spinning that much, you obviously think that when someone like Bracewell is a normal spinner. But what he had was the consistency of bowling at the right area and mixing his pace up. That's where Mahmudullah and Mushfiqur or Tawhid Ridoy did not respected his skill that much. And that's why they probably played those big shots. But yeah, you have to take those singles. You cannot hit sixes. It's not a T20 format. And plus, DK rightly said it's a slow wicket. So that means there isn't enough pace from the pitch. That's where you have to hit it absolutely from middle of the bat to clear that long on or deep mid-wicket boundary. And that's where Bracewell got those 4 wickets.
We don't see much or get to see much ODI cricket, and I suppose the last 4 or 5 days at the Champions Trophy have been a reminder of a few absolute fundamental truths of one-day cricket as far as batting is concerned. Partnerships are the lifeblood of any ODI innings, and we didn't see that happening. A couple of partnerships of 40, just the one just 2 partnerships of 40 and a couple of 30s, never going to help you go past 270, 280 if this is what you do with the bat.
Yeah, you'll take those 2 partnerships with the all-rounders / bowlers, Jakir Rashid and Jakir Tuskin.
Yeah.
But it's the ones above that matter a lot. And 245 definitely doesn't help you get a 280, 290 score.
Yep.
And that has been the issue for Bangladesh for some time. Their batting is too dependent on 1 or 2 players. Whenever they've done well in multi-nation tournaments, it's been largely due to Shakib Al Hasan or at times due to Tamim Iqbal. Mushfiqur has definitely played a role as well. But those 2 players, Mushfiqur and Mahmudullah, didn't get going today, and you can see the dip and the collapse. And it all boils down to experience. Now, when you start playing on better pitches in your bilaterals, you'll understand how to phase out a game in a long manner. Right now, they're just going in that one tempo that we discussed. And you can see the growth of teams trying to understand how to play ODI cricket comes in the way they prepare and practice in the lead up to big tournaments. Here, Pakistan always play short matches. You know, they play on pitches that really help their left-arm spinners. And in that, it's again a skill where you look to hit boundaries, it's okay to play defense. That's the mindset you get into. And that's why they struggle on normal flat pitches at times. Even in the 23 World Cup in India, they struggle purely because of the same reasons.
Bangladesh fans will do well to not judge their captain Shanto unfairly, because he scored 77 at a strike rate of 70. Parthiv, when you and I were on Cricbuzz Combox, and you gave us a reason why that strike rate came down to 70 from 80 at one stage.
Yeah, he was what, 46 of
34 or 44 after
34 or
15.
44 after 15.
Yeah.
But that's when only 1 wicket had gone, 2 wicket perhaps. But then after that, when Mushfiqur came in and played that big shot, and then Mahmudullah comes in and plays that big shot. So that means the responsibility is there on Shanto to play a big knock. And that is the reason why he had to put his shutters down and say, okay, I will hang around here. I'll try and rotate strike. I cannot afford to get out here. If he had got out at that stage, it would have been 160, 170. So at least as a captain, I need to get to a score where we can fight. Here at when talking about 240 odd, 2 wickets early on, you can still put pressure. But 160, 170, you can't do anything about that score. So I think that is the reason why he had to play that long knock. Unfortunately, it got out, but he had shifted his gear because the wickets were falling from the other end.
Yep, and at one stage he might have felt that they're going too slow, and trying to hit a big shot, he lost his wicket in the 38th. Was it a case of Bangladesh not having a plan, or was it about not communicating that plan from Shanto to the other batters, or was it just about not executing a plan well? It's tough to say, right, when you look at the scorecard.
You have to put it down to not executing it, and that boils down again, if you back up a little bit, lack of skill. The ability to understand how it's done in the middle overs is the key to middle order batsmanship through any ODI, and that was missing. Even Shanto, Parthiv rightly said, he started off with a tempo, then kind of had to go down a gear because wickets were falling around him. But when he did try to take on a bowler, it was not a percentage shot. Against a slightly tall bowler looking to go over mid-wicket at that stage of the innings. You can see, again, all of this will boil down to inexperience and the lack of batting on good pitches for long periods of time, because you'd rarely see a Virat Kohli get out to a shot like that in the 27th over, 28th over. If 45th, 46th, understandable. Because until then, it's not like they won't hit boundaries. They'll get into better positions to hit slightly safer shots along the ground a lot more if required to get those boundaries. Here, a lot of the batters depend on aerial shots to get boundaries. And in ODI cricket, if you don't play on pitches that are very true, then it might be difficult sometimes to go over the top.
It would have looked much worse if it wasn't for Jacques Ali's enterprising cameo. 45 runs for him, or 55, 3 fours and a 6 there. He seemed to get that meter right.
He has, and that's been lots been expected of him. He started off as a T20 specialist. He's a wicketkeeper also. So, but they expect him to play those big shots. But I don't think they're providing that kind of platform to him. He's playing against his normal nature. He likes to play big shots. But here it's good to see that he's adjusting to the team situation. Last game it was 35 for 5. Today also they were in a bit of trouble where he didn't play those big shots initially. Take the game the longer way, which DK just mentioned. You have to prolong that inning here. But it's good to see that there are a couple of young players who are actually putting their hand up, and that's the way to go forward for Bangladesh.
Jacques Ali has actually been the find of Bangladesh in the last 3 months. In the West Indies tour, when they beat West Indies at home, not in Bangladesh, in West Indies, he was actually the star of the show. He batted really well in the ODIs as well. So he is someone who's up and coming. He's absorbed pressure twice on the bounce now, once against India and now once against New Zealand really nicely. So he again will be someone who they need to safeguard, make him understand how he can be done consistently. He looks like someone who's hungry, determined, wants to do well. So he's got the ingredients. You got to work with him to get the best out of him.
And there is every reason to believe that once the two M's go away, there is a strong chance he could bat in the top 5, top 6 or not.
I personally thought, honestly, at the end of the World Cup, that'll be the end of Mushfiqur and Mahmudullah, but they've chosen to play more. I don't know how much longer they can play. I'd be very surprised, but they surprise me a lot. So maybe they'll play a little more. But I feel at some point they need to make way as well for the younger lot to come in, because that will stabilize the team. The experienced players would be Najmul a lot more, and probably with the way things are going, Tanzir would have ideally played a little more. That is the experience that they're going to have. They might struggle a bit, but eventually that is what is going to give them success if they want to in the T20 World Cup in India and the forthcoming World Cup that's going to happen in 27. So they need to look at the bigger picture and plan accordingly. It can't be what they need to win just for the bilateral, then you're thinking too short. And hopefully Jacques and Tawhid Ridoy are in the scheme of things for the long run as well.
And that Mushfiqur and Mahmudullah both are they're transiting into the T10 format also, and the T10 format is for retired players and the players who actually don't get picked for international cricket. They play a lot of T10 cricket, so I think it's about time they need to look forward.
Right. Sorry, you're saying something?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to the New Zealand bowling card. Most people wouldn't have expected to see Michael Bracewell finish with figures of 10 overs, 26 for 4. Will O'Rourke would have had better figures if he hadn't bowled 5 wides in that second last over. That might have helped me win that prediction game as well, but that's not important. Santner going wicketless. Den Phillips didn't bowl too many overs, but a bowling card that will be happy, or will they have mixed emotions at the halfway mark?
I think they should be happy. I mean, that's what New Zealand's bowling card looks like it. That you don't have a bowler who will run through a side. They don't have that kind of bowler anyway. They have something which we spoke about before the game started. Everyone does their role. It's not that someone will come and take 6 or 7 wickets, or someone will bowl a spell like this. But yeah, that's how New Zealand would have liked. Maybe in hindsight, you say that they would have not 220 would have been an ideal score, but this is a 330, 340 pitch, and that also you won't be safe. When the dew comes in, underlights, wickets gets easier, and all of that. What we saw against,
and also it's a slightly
smaller ground also.
But looking at that bowling card, the one name stands out. It could be the 7th different man of the match in the 7th game, Michael Bracewell. And what is beautiful is all 4 wickets were caught. And that tells you he is getting dip in the air, because all of them were beaten in the flight. You can see the amount of revs he gives on the ball. He's got strong fingers. He was there with me in RCB and, used to work a lot on his bowling. He got a finger injury, he was out of action for some time, and he's come back and he's done really well. I rate him really highly as an off-spinner. He can actually turn a ball nicely and can obviously tonk a ball as well with the bat. But it's good to see him bowl this way. Generally, off-spinners will get wickets at long on, long off, understandable, but he's got wickets where he's got at point. You know, slog sweeping when a ball is slightly away. So constantly there's been dip, which basically means you're imparting revolutions on the ball.
Happy to bowl a really long spell as well. I think he finished his quota of 10
overs
at the 25-27 over mark. Did he succeed because he kept things simple, just kept bowling straight at the batter?
That's his strength. I mean, he doesn't have that dusra like most other off-spinners have, or he doesn't bowl those carom ball. He is more on the Ravindra Jadeja mold. You know, he comes in and bowls stump to stump, not try to do a lot of things, just vary the pace, and that's in his limited options. His key is the consistency, and that's I think that's the main weapon, and that's exactly what he does. See, if someone was a regular off-spinner, he won't mind bowling 10 overs in a row. I mean, that's a bowlers likes to do it. When batters are not attacking, might as well just have those 10 overs, finish off your game at 26 or 4. Okay, thank you very much.
At
Someone
35,
can come and do the job.
At 35, you had great things to say about Santner's captaincy because he sensed the mood of the innings and the way Bangladesh were batting and used his bowlers well. He himself bowled a long 7-over spell at one stage.
He did. That's what the New Zealand's tempo was when they were bowling. It was Bracewell from one end, then Mitchell Santner came in and bowled 7 overs. In between, once Bracewell finished his spell, he brought in another fast bowler. So it wasn't all spinners. It was he wanted to change the pace of the game, where he brought in Jamieson in between. Once Bracewell's spell finished, and then he got William O'Rourke to get a couple of overs as well. So I thought he rotated his bowlers really well. I think that's a good captaincy. It was a very good captaincy by Santner.
3 maiden overs is something that Bangladesh will rue. 236, will it be enough? Will it not? No one knows. We'll find out soon. However, will an apology be enough for me to ensure Saimi Kher is not upset? In this building, she's got exclusive rights to talk about the master, Sachin Ramesh Tendulkar. However, with an advance apology, Saimi, I'm going to take the liberty of reminding our viewers and taking them down memory lane. Let's go back. This day, 15 years ago, when the Superman from Mumbai became the first man on the planet to score 200 runs in an ODI innings. Savor these visuals. This is a slice of nostalgia for you. We saw the modern master in action last night, but the original little master, Sachin Tendulkar, what a big day it was. And Dinesh Karthik was 22 yards away when he scaled Mount 200. Ravi Shastri on air, all of us have that memory etched in our hearts and our heads forever. Your memories of that great day in Gwalior exactly 15 years ago, DK?
For a start, Gwalior is a beautiful place. It's a small ground. They don't play as much cricket there these days. I saw the Madhya Pradesh Premier League happen there. It's a very nice boutique ground, not very big, and it's a good ground for batting. Just in the lead up to those games, and at that stage, people believed 200 could be reached. It wasn't something anybody had done before. He was the first man. But people felt that because of the advent of T20 cricket just around that time, people started seeing taller scores. You were seeing more consistent 280s, 300s, a lot more. But it was still folklore whether someone would reach it. I think it was, if I'm right, South Africa got 434. Australia got 434. South Africa chased it. So all of that kind of gave the feeling someone could do it. And everybody would expect likes of Sehwag or somebody to have done it at that stage. But Sachin Paji on that day was a good attack. Dale Steyn, Wayne Parnell, Charles Lagerfeld. It wasn't that simple a wicket. It was a flat one, but it was coming onto the bat nicely. It was skidding and coming onto the bat nicely. And the way he was timing, and it was actually the pace of his innings that was beautiful. He started at a decent tempo, but then took over midway where he just slightly took off. And at the end, he just kept going. Dhoni came in, had a lovely partnership with him, and he was there at the end with Dhoni. Dhoni actually, in a way, had to slow down and give more strike so that he could get close to it. And I think eventually he got it on the 49th over. But to do something like that, I think the irony and the beauty of it is it was Sachin Tendulkar. If at all there was a man who should be the first one to get a 200, it couldn't have been a better person.
If
That's
anyone
what
had
I
to do
remember.
it had to be the master.
Of course, it had to be that. DK rightly said, when you're talking about 200 runs in a one-day inning, you would say that's something like someone with the brutal power of, say, Chris Gayle or AB de Villiers or Virendra Sehwag or maybe Shahid Afridi on his day if he's opening. But it was an out. I remember watching that game on TV where it never looked like that it was an explosive inning, but it's still a double hundred in a one-day inning. And there were a lot of cricketing shots, so to speak, and the way he just batted, I mean, it's unbelievable. We all know someone who could get hundreds, and it's Sachin Tendulkar, after all. It's his destiny's child. Someone who could have done it, it was Sachin. So it was a great moment for all of us Indian, that first time it was breached, and it was done by none other than the greatest batter ever.
We played one match before that in Jaipur.
Yeah.
We won that game. This game, and that game Sachin Paji got out early. And this game he got a double hundred. Third game he didn't bother coming. He won the series 2-0, so he just relaxed. And ended up being man of the series, I remember, in that one.
He was just a couple of months shy of turning 37 when that game was played. At the age of 37, Parthiv, to last the full 50 overs, he came into open, got that 200 magic figure on 49.3, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, not easy. I mean, it's not easy to bat 50.
Incredible fitness.
It's not easy to bat 50 overs. Now we are seeing a lot of batters here. We saw Tawhid Hridoy batting in Dubai where he was cramping. A lot of batters are getting cramped. But Sachin somehow, because he's grown up that way, that just to bat full day. So there's a fitness, there's a different kind of fitness when you're talking about gym, when you're talking about running. There's a different kind of cricketing fitness, there's different kind of batting fitness, where Sachin obviously had that batting fitness. He would just bat and don't get injured or don't get tired. At 37 to score a double, and it was remarkable.
If you look at Sachin Paji's career, there was a massive break for him when he got that elbow injury. He started practicing differently after that. He reduced the weight of his bat. His backlift changed a bit. He was using the pace of the ball a lot more than he used to bludgeon it. If you remember in New Zealand, early 1990s, the way he used to smack a ball down the ground and the tempo at which he used to play was very different to what it was post the elbow injury. Slowed down a lot. And it's still, to keep getting those big scores tells you a lot about how he thought about the game.
You came into bat in the 4th over and you were there until the 34th over. Conversations, memory, did you at any stage feel or tell him that maybe master 200 possible, 150 possible?
No. When I was batting, I think he was closing in on the 100 or probably got the 100 when I was batting, one of the two. But at no point did I give him any suggestion as to how much he can score. That would be a bit much, I think. Though it was a day when, as you batted, you felt like, in the general parlance is kadak pitcher, like flat, and I remember him saying, we need to get a big score, but I didn't know he could get that big a score, but he said we should get a big score. But that is something I remember.
We were talking about Virupa's 300 plus in Multan the other night on Cricbuzz Live Hindi, and Parthiv said it took a while for it to sink in. I mean, the enormity of the achievement perhaps may not have sunk in then and there, because it's when you zoom out and look at the bigger picture and say, hang on, 200 in an ODI? What was the reaction in the dressing room on that day? Everyone would have said, this is seriously incredible, 200.
Spellbound is what I would say, purely because it's not easy to do something like that at that age. Gary Kirsten was the coach. He's just slowly taking the reins over. And I'm sure, coming in, he would have had some experienced players, who he wants to keep, who he wants to let go, what he wants to do. And Sachin Tendulkar was always going to be an integral part of that team up until the 2011 World Cup. He was there and he played a little more beyond that. But his fitness, and the right word is his batting fitness, was never in doubt. It just shows you the class of the man, how he understood his game and understood opponents and how he needed to score. Even in T20 cricket at that stage, he used to bat at a very healthy strike rate. Never was he behind the 8 ball, so to say. So for me, when I think of those innings, it's reminiscent of the greatest things that's ever been achieved by an Indian in cricket. You always remember Kapil Dev lifting that trophy. Sometimes I feel that 200 for the first time, that mark being breached, is not spoken about enough, because quite a few people have done it probably. but it is an insane feat at that point of time.
He has a 186 in ODI cricket in Hyderabad. He has a 175 as well, which is against Australia. But this lineup, PP had Dale Steyn, Jacques Kallis, Roelof van der Merwe, a pretty good bowler as well. So a serious attack, mind you. And that makes the innings even more special. Also, was it the era of one ball in one-day cricket in those days?
I think it could have been one ball era. Maybe or they would be changing a ball after 34th over or something.
Maybe Parthiv is right because in 2011 World Cup, I think they used to change the ball. Yeah, so it would have been something similar.
Yeah.
Master, thank you. If you're watching, thank you for all those memories. Now, let's come back to reality. The reality for Bangladesh is very, very grim. Also for Pakistan, because remember, if New Zealand win, both Bangladesh and Pakistan will get knocked out. Let's remind you of what happened. Let's pull up the match summary at the halfway mark. Bangladesh, 236 for 9. New Zealand with a very confident batting lineup that has the likes of Gujarat Titans, Glenn Phillips as well, PP. At this stage, 80-20 to New Zealand, or do Bangladesh have a chance with the two spinners they have in the ranks?
99-1 in favor of New Zealand, not 80-20. 236 is definite, not 80-20. I think 236 is a very low score on this pitch. I mean, something dramatically happens, only then I'm looking at New Zealand losing this game. A finish between 35th or 40th over.
If Bangladesh have to make a match out of it, how do they use their bowling resources?
Well, for a start, they need to strike first up. That's something they didn't do against India that well. So they need to strike up front. I don't think Mustafiz should bowl with the new ball. I think it should be probably Naheed Rana and Tuskin. But I still feel Mustafiz will bowl purely because he's the senior pro and they expect him to probably deliver in that phase. Though I feel he's much better off at the end of power play and post that. The key is Rishad Hussain for me. If he can pick up 2-3 wickets and break that middle order a bit, that's when New Zealand will struggle. Otherwise, it's going to be a canter home for them.
They've got an extra left-hand batter in Rachin Ravindra in this lineup as well, who's replaced Daryl Mitchell. So we'll see how they use Rishad Hussain, who did bowl fairly well in that first game, but 237 to chase for New Zealand. Before we say goodbye, a quick 10-over prediction, PP.
60.
65.
75, but before we say goodbye, well done.
You really want to go back home early.
No, I'm very happy to be here and do a 2-hour-long show and talk about all of Master's great innings with Siamese permission, but he did well in the first innings.
Yeah, he's...
Almost got bullseye.
Close. I know Naheed Rana didn't help me, but it's okay.
Yeah, that's...
No problem. No problem. Maybe New Zealand will help you get a bullseye with this one. So enjoy this Kiwi chase. We'll come back possibly with the news of Bangladesh and Pakistan being knocked out. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.